on some aspects much more. The other is saying I'm not the source of it. Between the two of them, it means the conversation did happen. And in that content, we are being told that, yes, we established that something happened that could be described as corruption. And the lady then says that if I had opportunity, I would personally advise the president. Please. I mean, absolutely. I believe that there's a problem with the credibility of the report that the police gave us.
And this is what we've also been asking ourselves. Okay, the police says that this audio was doctored, which is criminal if indeed it is proven to be the case. A+ has dared them on public radio, saying that, look, if you believe that I have doctored this audio, come and arrest me. Now, if the police have reason to believe that this audio was doctored, shouldn't they be going to arrest A+ if there is reason to believe that he used it to defame this person in question?
Yes, I think that is a very logical argument. And so we wait to see. But I think that what is more important is the fact that we started out with a case. The case was that there was an accusation against the two deputy chief of staffs, and they denied us. The allegations were taken to the police for investigation because the president has said that any such allegations ought to be investigated. Now, the police finished the investigation and say, look, there was nothing substantive. And here we are having an audio that was leaked that tells us that, rather, to the contrary, it appears that something substantive happened. I think that the police ought to be speaking not just to the fact that they want to claim that this audio is not real, it's doctored or whatever, but also to the fact that there's clearly on both sides, whether it's their own officer on A+'s statement, both sides are admitting that this conversation happened. And the content suggests that there is a report that they provided to the public.
Well, you have made that call that this investigation's details should be made public so that we would all get to know how they reach the conclusion that the two deputies are not involved. With all this, how does this affect the credibility of the police in conducting such investigations?
Alfred, it's not too good at all. And it's not the first time that we have been quite concerned. I mean, not too long ago, we were quite concerned about the Moss report. Because the content and how it all went about, it really suggests that this was something that actually captured the issues as we all expected. All of this does not imbue confidence in our institutions of state that ought to be taking these actions on our behalf. It's not looking good at all. And I think that the police ought to speak up on this in a way that deals with the substantive issues. Substantive issues is what were the facts surrounding the investigation done on the matter relating to the two deputy chiefs of staff. That is a matter to be concerned about. Secondly, how can we have a situation where it is being claimed that, look, they just try to manage the situation? All of that does not augur well for us.
Serrano, I'm grateful for your time this evening. Thank you. Adam Serrano is a co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption.
360 Skype interview is brought to you by MTN. Everywhere you go.
Let's turn to other stories this evening as the Ghana National Association of Teachers has called on the Ghana Education Service to reinstate the 9 heads of institutions who've been interdicted. NAT is of the view the 9 heads were not given fair hearing and their rights have been trampled upon.
The Ghana Education Service interdicted 9 senior high school heads for charging monies under the free SHS policy. The Ghana Education Service immediately convened an emergency meeting to investigate and later interdicted them. 3 weeks after the interdiction, the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, has called on the GES to reinstate them. NAT says disciplinary committees at the district and regional levels were not put together to investigate the alleged malfeasance. It again indicates that the heads were not given the opportunity to appeal the case through the association, the Conference of Heads of Assisted Senior High Schools, CHAS. General Secretary of NAT, David Ofere-Champon, has challenged the Ghana Education Service to produce evidence of the alleged malfeasance or face thereof.
Their cases were heard at the national level, and this is completely unacceptable. It means that we have not given them an opportunity to appeal. It is just like you go to the law court, a case that ought to be heard at the high court is determined at the Supreme Court. Where else do you go?
He says a letter submitted to the Ghana Education Council is yet to be acknowledged and the delay is creating discontent.
If the Ghana Education Service has enough evidence to show that there have been infractions on their part, they should subject them to due process. Now what we have done is that we've written a letter to the Ghana Education Service Council asking them to call a meeting with us anytime this week. We sent a letter to them last week and we gave them this week to call us. As we speak, we have not received any response from them.
In another development, the Ghana National Association of Teachers (NAT), ahead of the World Teachers' Day celebrations, has lauded government for the free SHS policy. The day, which is to be marked on October 5, is to commemorate the hard work of teachers. President of NAT, Philippa Larson, proposed to parents to pay GES-approved PTA dues.
PTA dues that receive approval from the GES, for example, should not be frowned upon by parents as they have to continue to play their parts in the education of our future leaders.
Now, Senior Minister Asiedu-Dartey has faulted the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development's approach to the fight against illegal fishing in Ghana. He contends illegal fishing is the worst form of galamsey and requires more than just rhetoric to eradicate it. The senior minister was addressing the first ever conference on fisheries and coastal management in Accra.
The fishing industry contributes over 4% of Ghana's gross domestic product. Over 60% of the country's protein need also comes from fish and fish products. Additionally, the sector provides permanent employment to over 2 million Ghanaians. Yet, continuous illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing practices over the years, coupled with natural occurrences, have led to severe depletion of the country's fish stock. Unfortunately, the ongoing national fight against the menace is heavily challenged. In the view of the senior minister, Asiedu-Dartey, this must be blamed on the sector minister.
I think somehow we have to make a very strong, passionate case. Mr. Deputy Minister, take my message to your minister. From what I have observed and read, we are doing a lot of identification, we are doing a lot of talking about the problem. Our efforts to resolve the problem have not been successful. We must fight it like we are doing for galamsey.
Asiedu-Dartey wonders why Ghanaians are always law-abiding outside Ghana, but see nothing wrong with breaking laws made to protect them for posterity.
Every law that needs to be put in place to protect the fishing industry we have in Ghana, which they obey when they travel out of Ghana. There must be something wrong with us.
The obviously worried minister described the situation as deadly and wants a more purposeful approach.
You are destroying the fish, you are destroying the future of industry, you are destroying all those who earn their living through processing, through fishing. You are destroying the source of our protein. So this is galamsey on the seas.
Addressing the closing section of a 3-day conference on fisheries and coastal environment, the senior minister called for all hands on deck to save the marine industry and the livelihood of 10% of Ghanaians for sustainable development.
Now, away from that, the General Secretary of the Ghana Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Workers Union of the Ghana Trade Union, Fusaini Idrisu, has assured staff of Metromash Transit Limited nationwide that no worker will be victimized or penalized for playing any role in the industrial action that halted business activities on Wednesday. He was speaking at a press briefing held at the headquarters of the MMT Limited here in Accra. Solis Rose Korte has more.
Distress was evident on the faces of workers when TV3 visited the MMT headquarters on Thursday morning. Although the strike had officially been called off, tempers were high and tension was palpable as most workers refused to heed the directive until they were made privy to the outcome of the meeting between the board and the union. They remained resolute in their stance that they would not work until they had that information.
Enough is enough. We have people that are depending on us. And today, 28, we don't know when to get your salary.
Divisional Union Chairman Samuel Kwe was at the receiving end of the obvious anger and agitation as they waited impatiently for the press briefing which would hopefully bring to bear solutions to the myriad of issues facing the company. After over 2 hours of waiting, the presser finally took off. First to be addressed was the attempt by the board to secure for the managing director, Bennett Abuaje, a 2017 Toyota Land Cruiser vehicle at a cost of $105,000.
The board chairman denied in the meeting that no such vehicle had been purchased for the managing director of the company. It was the action of the union and its members that has stopped the company from purchasing of that vehicle for the managing director.
General Secretary of the Ghana Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Workers Union of the Ghana Trade Union, Fuseni Idrisu, added that the board admits the managing director did not follow due process in contracting the consultant. Thus, the 6-month contract, which ends October 2017, shall not be renewed.
The union would wish to congratulate the board chairman for ensuring that the official vehicle in the possession of Mr. John Awoku Zwasa has been collected and brought back for use by the Metromas officials.
Regarding the request by staff for the removal of the entire management team, which they refer to as mafia, the board urged them to exercise patience, as doing so drastically would put the already struggling company into more financial stress. Samuel Kwe urged the entire working body of the MMT to be steadfast in ensuring that the company regains its former glory. Solis Rose Quarty, TV3, Accra.
The leadership of the 12 labor unions has suspended their intended nationwide strike action. The unions reached the agreement after government's commitment to, within 3 weeks, resolve their grievances.
The unions had a closed-door meeting to deliberate on government's commitment to resolve their grievances. Government has indicated plans to float bonds to defray the 18 months arrears owed them. The meeting also agreed to government setting up a technical committee to resolve the problems. The committee is mandated to, within 3 weeks, audit how much has been accrued in the Temporary Pension Fund account, TPFA, at the Bank of Ghana. The 9-member committee, 5 from government and 4 from the labor unions, is to discuss when transfers of the funds would be done. The committee is also tasked to discuss penalties and other 5% deductions which have been made from the TPFA. Chairman of the 12 labor unions, Isaac Bampuado, says based on government's commitment, they have suspended their intended strike.
The forum has resolved to suspend temporarily the intended 29th September 2017 indefinite nationwide strike action communicated earlier through our press release dated 14th September 2017, whilst the Joint Technical Committee completes its work. Meanwhile, the forum calls on all members to remain calm. We take this opportunity to salute the courage and resolve of our members in this dire period.
Already, government has transferred more than 500 million cedis from the TPFA account to the fund managers. The unions do not want government to renege on the monthly transfers.
Currently, apart from August transfer, all transfers have been made.
The Attorney General has filed an application to stay execution of the judgment ordering the Ghana Immigration Service to restore the work and residence visa of Indian businessman Ashok Kumar Sivram. The High Court last week ordered for it to be restored within 7 days, but the Attorney General has applied to stop its execution.
According to the Attorney General, he has filed an appeal against the decision quashing the deportation order and wants the restoration order put on hold till the Court of Appeal determines the case. The AG also stated as part of their case that if the restoration order is allowed to stand, it will serve as a precedent for others to use the court to overturn legally revoked permit. The High Court last week ordered the Immigration Service to within 7 days restore the work and residence permit of Ashok Sivaram after months of failing to do so. The court on July 31 this year caused the deportation of the Indian businessman by the Interior Minister Asiedu-Dartey. According to the court, the Interior Minister exceeded his jurisdiction by determining fraud against the Indian businessman without recourse to the court. But since his return to the country, Ashok Sivaram has not been given a visa in spite of the court order.
The Kolebu Teaching Hospital intends to put on hold scheduled surgeries and also suspend admissions of patients into the intensive care unit due to delays in the procurement process. The delay, according to the hospital, has led to shortage of essential drugs such as anesthetics.
An anesthetic is a drug used in preventing pain during surgery. Anesthetics categorize anesthesia in two classes: general anesthetics, which cause a reversible loss of consciousness, and local anesthetics, which cause a reversible loss of sensation for a limited region of the body while maintaining consciousness. Often, anesthetic is used for sedation during surgical procedures or in the intensive care unit (ICU). Kolebu Teaching Hospital currently carries out surgeries in 23 theaters and on a daily basis conduct about 20 cesarean sessions, but has been forced to prioritize emergency cases and delay some scheduled cases because of the shortage of anesthetics. This is blamed on bureaucracies in the procurement process. In response, two doctors, MFA Anya Lati and Jifa Anya Anani, have presented anesthetics worth 30,000 cedis and a water pump to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital.
And when we heard that there was a shortage in supply in the anesthesia department in Kolebu, and seeing as my sister Dr. Jifa Anyanani and I were trained in this very institution, it was a major concern to us because when it comes to things like anesthesia and surgery, it's very critical, and you never know when a relative of yours or you yourself will be on the receiving end of the healthcare system, which is why we decided to donate.
Head of the anesthetics department, Dr. Robert Jagblete, says the assistance is timely and will help avert loss of lives.
Patients who are dying, and some of these drugs can't save these patients when they are readily available. You can't wait minutes, you don't have hours. So it's really going to save a lot of lives if these drugs are available. So I'd say thank you once again for providing these drugs. You are really going to save a lot of lives.
CEO of the hospital, Dr. Phyllis Anya, also presented some motorbikes to the hospital to help boost security. Kolebu Teaching Hospital is optimistic the procurement challenges, when dealt with, will improve healthcare delivery.
One of the things that we need to do is also to enhance patrol, make it more coordinated, a more efficient patrol system. And so we realized that we needed more motorbikes to add to the single one that's available.
Well, you're still live here on News 360. We're streaming all across the world on 3news.com as well as TV3 Ghana on Facebook. We've got some more news for you shortly. Stay with us.
All right, thanks for staying with us on News 360. Let's do some business news now. My name is Nanekia Mensa Abrampa. Minister of Trade and Industry Alan Kwadwo Kyerematen is worried over Ghana's export of less than 50 products onto the international market. He has charged the governing boards of Ghana Exports Promotion Authority and Gihok Distilleries Company Limited to put in place policies or new directions to ensure the country exports more onto the European market.
Speaking at the inauguration and swearing-in of the governing boards of the Ghana Export Promotion Authority and Gehog Distilleries Company Limited, the Minister of Trade and Industry, Kojo Alan Tremantin, expressed worry over Ghana's inability to export even 50 products onto the international market.
Ghana must make a very serious effort at taking advantage of this market access opportunity. So it is unimaginable that we still cannot even export more than 50 products, to the U.S. under AGUA.
He again charged the board to develop productive capacity to enable the country export more onto the European market. He also stressed the need for the board to put in place policies of directions of an export financing mechanism to support exporters. The sector minister urged the board to take advantage of the international market access to ensure massive transformation of the economy. The board chairman of the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, Sandy Osei Ajuman, agreed Ghana is lagging far behind to promote made-in-Ghana goods internationally and needed a holistic approach to bridge the gap.
I don't see why we only export about 3%. Most of our export are to the EU countries and a little bit to the ECOWAS countries. But what about the United States of America or even the Americas? So these are some of the challenges that I think we as a board will have to find answers to.
The board chairman of Gehog Distilleries Company Limited, Ebenezer Ebo Bartels, assured the board will live up to its mandate as established by law.
We shall not be riding over the shoulders of management, no. But we shall make sure that the policies that we fashion out are in tandem with the greater vision of the president of this country.
From trade now onto energy, and 354 culprits have been convicted for failing to pay their electricity bills, while 96 cases of those involved in stealing electricity cables are still pending before the courts. Now, management of the Ghana Electricity Company gave the figures at a workshop to improve on efficiency in Accra.
Beginning this year, the Electricity Company of Ghana prepared 512 names to be prosecuted in court. It again submitted before court 440 names of corporates who had been engaged in stealing of electrical cables. 354 of the corporates were convicted by the court for engaging in self-reconnection. 96 of the cases before the court also involved those who conspired with electricity officials to dupe the company. The ECG has indicated 52 cases are still being investigated and will soon be prosecuted. The major concern to ECG is that about 20 corporates who were involved in delays in the payment of their bills failed to show up when they were invited. The ECG has recouped more than 33 million cedis from customers who were served with bills. Acting Managing Director of ECG, Engineer Samuel Boachiapia, says those who have failed to pay would be disconnected.
Have been found to be to have not gone through the proper procedure, are disconnected. They are invited to our offices, and we resolve, their issues as as a business entity and its customer.
Meanwhile, the ECG has organized a workshop on the application of knowledge to improve on efficiency and reliability.
The meters were installed, and for one reason or the other, were not captured in our system, and so it's not in our records. So we take steps to regularize those those customers, and then serve them with bill.
On to some ports matters now, and Chief Executive Officer of Customs World, the company that has taken over activities of West Blue Ghana Limited, says they are ready to take off with the implementation of their new systems to ease cost of doing business at the port. In a meeting with stakeholders, Faisal Latfi gave assurances to collaborate with the West Blue team to improve on efficiency in the country. Addressing the media, the team from Dubai, led by Group Chairman of DP World, mother body of Customs World, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, emphasized the need to speed up work to meet the timeline set by government on the activities in the country.
The main objective is to find a shortcut that helps us with the strategy, with the very aggressive timelines we have been put in place with the government, and we see that already having the resources on ground is a very important step with the technology that is already in place.
As part of the agreement, Customs World International will invest significant resources, including capital, world-class technologies, and human expertise in the country's single-window operations, as they have done in other countries. Chief Executive Officer of Customs World, Faisal Latfi, said the team is bringing on board new systems that will improve efficiency in their activities.
We believe that the investment we have in this company will be the vehicle to introduce and develop systems that will allow people in the logistic and cargo business to be able to communicate with each other and finalize transactions in a record time.
The acquisition by Customs World is expected to automate customs free zones and port processes in the country and build the country's capacities through the application of technology and services that will mirror the operational model in Dubai. President of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, Kwabanao Fuswapia, says they are ready to work with Customs World.
We are to expect within the next 6 months a timeline of 4 hours to be able to take our goods out of the port within 4 hours. Even though we are having serious difficulties on the grounds today, we hope that with the kinds of muscles that Customs World is bringing on board, these realization will come even sooner than the 6 months period.
Well, there's more news on our website, NEWS360.com. That will do for the business segment tonight. My name is Nanekia Mensah-Brampa, and Natalie is standing by with some statistics regarding rabies.
Absolutely, Nanekia. Thanks for the business there. Now, 3 people have died of rabies in the Ashanti region since the beginning of the year. The Regional Directorate of Veterinary Services says the figure could be high, as many in local communities are not reported. Here's a report by Benjamin Adu.
The Ashanti region is estimated to have a dog population of 327,704 in 2016. Although more than 10,000 dogs were vaccinated, 30 cases of the preventable viral disease were recorded with 8 deaths. 5 cases have been recorded this year with 3 deaths. As a preventive measure, the veterinary service has established centers for action. He is worried about the refusal of pet owners to vaccinate their pets.
Rabies is though deadly, but it is preventable. Where you are working a medical officer, veterinary officer, you are a farmer, driver, for everybody to be aware that rabies is preventable if only we vaccinate our animals.
Dr. Efa fears many could die from the disease if funds are not released for the mass vaccination of dogs and cats in the region.
If you have an animal, it's compulsory on you to be taking charge of the animal, because should the animal bite anybody without rabies certificate, the person can take you to court. Once you owe the animal, it's your responsibility to take care of that animal. Should the animal bite somebody, you have to take the responsibility to take the person to the hospital.
He described the situation as alarming because there has been a drastic reduction in the vaccination of pets as compared to 12 to 15 years ago. He added that even the human deaths are very alarming.
I do like dogs, but you know today is World Rabies Day.
Absolutely, and Dr. Kikumoto says they are bringing contraceptives for dogs.
Yes, quite interesting.
Absolutely. We'll be back shortly with some more stories. To stay.